Welcome in, welcome in. Perfect. All right. So we're going to do a We're going to do a new thing. Everybody's got their note takers. I did my 5 minutes of grace. And so I'm going to actually straddle two different computers. I am going to get on camera. Just give me one moment. One moment. Un momentito. Un momentito. What's going on? I'm also streaming live. Uh I'm also streaming live on well, that's interesting. I'm also streaming live on Facebook. So hello, hello, hello. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If it will stay, it can absolutely stay. All right. So how's everyone doing? I look a little bit like a ghost, but I think it'll be okay. I think it'll work out. For those of you who are watching on Facebook, hey, if you want to get in here, you'll have to go over to luma.com/the COE. Hey, hey, hey. Let me make sure that I'm live. We tried this once before. It didn't quite work out, but I think we are cooking with gas. All right. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So I can see. I can also hear, which I shouldn't. Let's turn some sound down. All right. Let me get a lot of things out of my face. Hello, hello. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. We're going to go ahead and get into this because I really want to make sure that I leave room for us to chat. But as usual, let's see, why do you do that? You do that every single time. Every single time, y'all. I open up what I'm going to present and it decides I'm not going to present it. And I'm like, I just opened this. Stop. All right, here we go. Let me see. Let me get that open. All right, good, good, good. And then let me jump back over here. And of course, we always have a thing, an introductory thing for the evening. So that's why I want to go ahead and get this up. And you should be able to see it. Yay! All right. So Facebook, as usual, is being crazy. Um, every time I try to go live, it says something about waiting for a live signal, whatever, whatever. Anywho, we like to try things and experiment. I think it's a great thing. So let's get into this. So tonight, we're going to introduce ourselves in the chat with your name, your business, and your favorite season. Your name, your business, and your favorite season. If you live in a place like I do that doesn't really have seasons, you can imagine what it would be like to actually have seasons to walk through that are consistent and not hour by hour, minute by minute. So by all means, please drop that in the chat. Of course, you know, Dane is running around. And so if you see random snaps of the finger or a little cut to the eye, it's just me looking at him, wondering, what is he doing? Dane Axel, let's stay in here, Papa. Because remember, guys, the last time I was teaching and I left him alone, he started eating my straws. And that made for a fun night. Not really. All right. So I can't see the chat. Let me make sure I'm seeing the chat. Awesome. Awesome. Jump into the latest. Ooh, autumn. Yes. That is East Coast speak for fall. Heard of fall. I think I saw that like earlier today. You know, it's awesome. Amazing. And so I need somebody before I get started real good. Let's see who else. I'm just saying. I need at least one of you. There we go. To be a co-host. So I made one of you a co-host. You'll see the notification so that as people come in, you can let them in and I don't have to break my flow if I don't see it. There have been moments when I didn't see people come in. So tonight is about how to entrepreneur, even if you've done it for years. Our agenda tonight is what is entrepreneurship, especially versus small business ownership. We're going to talk about unsung superpowers, the business life cycle with some bonus added, you know, je ne sais quoi. We're going to have our lab session, a conclusion, and Q&A. As you know, my name is Stephanie D. McKenzie. I am the proud founder and leader of the COE, also known as the College of Empowerment. I have some amazing things I'm going to share with you over the course of this evening. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to be here. I see we have our program directors who are present. And so if you're a program director with the COE, by all means, please drop an emoji so everybody knows who you are. While I have your attention, please make sure that you go right back over to the page where you signed up for this and sign up for Share a Profits upcoming learning lab on the hidden patterns that keep us or keep our cash flow stuck. And I think it's really important that we start to look at more than just, this is a lean season. That's why I'm not making money. Are you sure? Especially if you've been in seasons where you made great goo gobs of money and then maybe you stopped, or maybe you're having some you have some feelings. And I'm not saying, oh, we're going to unblock your money block. We're not talking about that. We're talking about how you think and feel about revenue, about money, about cash flow, personally, professionally, and entrepreneurially. And she's going to dig into that. She's a certified hypnotherapist. She is an expert on the subconscious mind and also wealth building. So make sure that you sign up for that. That's going to be May 7th. All right. So we're keeping it rocking and rolling. You know the drill. By all means, drop your intentions in the chat. What do you want to learn tonight? I think that's just as important as what I want to teach. We'll see if Facebook ever got its life together. Let's see. Hey, Facebook people. It did. Yay. It did get its life together. Yay. So I'm just going to share that over. I really hate that the groups function, the third-party APIs were removed. Because it makes it so difficult to go live in your group. You have to use a RMTP and all this other stuff that I don't feel like doing, and it doesn't actually even work. So there's that. So let's check out what are the intentions for tonight? Because I believe where you said intention, that's where attention goes. I love it. Amanda's here. Attraction needs to also fall. Let's go. Let's go. And it's okay if you don't have any intentions. It's okay if you're like, I'm just here because you're here, Stephanie, and I am okay with that. I'm completely okay with that. Facebook people, if you want to get your face in the place, by all means, go to Luma. There's something. Luma.com. Okay, perfect. And /the COE. You'll see the link. You can join us. You can come on in. Come on in the room and have a great time with us tonight. All right. So without further ado, let's see what else we got going on here. I'm going to close the chat. My co-host, if you see somebody that's in the waiting room, please let them in. If you're over on Facebook and you want to be in the room, then make sure that you go to luma.com/the COE. I will be checking, but my intention and attention is right here. We just kind of wanted to give you the experience of the learning labs so you could see how they work. One of the things that's really important to me, especially as someone who's a huge advocate for learning, is that we're actually doing that. Like, we're not just spitting out information to people and then allowing them to try to figure out how to make it work for them. I do believe that in the world of foundership and entrepreneurship and business ownership and leadership, information overload is a very real thing. And so one of the things that myself and our program directors have done is committed to developing lab level learning, which basically means you're going to workshop through, you're going to have actual takeaways. You're not just going to say, oh, well, thanks for the workshop, thanks for the masterclass, et cetera, et cetera. In terms of upcoming learning labs, please note that this is probably our last evening learning lab. We have also made an organizational decision that we will do these during the day, preferably during lunchtime, which is going to vary based on your actual time zone. But that's the path that we're going into. And I'll talk more about that when we get into my big announcements toward the end. All right. So we ready to rock and roll? If you're ready, just drop me an emoji and let me know that it's real. So I want to say I cannot take credit for this first part of information. It was taught to me, it was brought to my attention rather. And when it was brought to my attention, it made so much sense, because oftentimes, and understanding this will help you tremendously, I hope, in your entrepreneurial small business ownership journey, because honestly they are two different things. And so the first thing I want to define for you is, what is entrepreneurship? Well, entrepreneurship is the practice of identifying a need, creating a solution, and building around actual demand. So you know how they say, oh, most businesses close within the first 2 years, and they barely make it to 5 years. Um, Oftentimes, they're not talking about entrepreneurship, even though that is the verbiage and the label that everything business ownership often falls under. People love to say, "Oh yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur," and I'm like, okay, let's back it up. Identifying a need, creating a solution, and building around real demand. Huh. So, what is a small business owner? Most people who are repping entrepreneurship hard are small business owners. They are building something meaningful, okay, and impactful, usually, from skill, service, or trade. That is the line of demarcation. I'm drawing it in the sand. Now, some people may say, well, that's the same thing. It's not. Now, while many people say they're entrepreneurs, they are functioning from skill, service, or trade. They haven't necessarily looked into the marketplace and said, hey, market, what do you need from me? And that is why when people say businesses fail within the 2 years, they're not talking about entrepreneurship, even though they may say, oh, these are statistics about entrepreneurship. Oftentimes, they're talking about small business ownership, because I can count on one hand the number of small business owners I know who actually did homework, looked at the market, did geodemographics, looked at demographics, did any type of research at all before hanging out their shingle and hoping for the best. This is not shade. Please understand. Okay, I want you to know this is not shade. I just want you to understand the difference is being market led versus skill led. In fact, I've told this funny story about my grandfather, who I never had the opportunity to meet because he unalived courtesy of a massive heart attack because one of my uncles really upset him. Ironically, he's the same uncle who really upset me, but I'm still here. Nevertheless, at one point in time, he and when from what I understand, they grew up, it's the South, it's the 30s, possibly even the 20s. And someone said, hey, I need this done. I need a house moved. And my grandfather, barefoot, not college educated, he didn't have a degree in physics or anything. He took that need, he heard that need, and he told my grandmother, hey, I think I can do this. Never lifted a building. I would guess he may have had maybe an 8th grade education, and that might be pushing it, because these were the times, right? The 20s and 30s were not kind to people of color. In fact, I hope we get to a point where we get some kindness for people of color, but that's a whole nother class for another time. And so he begins his entrepreneurship journey, which allows him to pass on that same skill to my father, who then becomes a small business owner, because he too, although the market has already been set, right? The market is set. He's leading from skill. He's leading from skill. And so that's really important for you to understand. There is a marked difference. And when this was brought to my attention, it really opened up my eyes as to why some people engage in what I call the founder flounder, and while others seem to be, making money hand over fist. Is one better than the other? No, not really. But understanding that it's almost, dare I bring this up? It's almost a CEO conversation. There's a lot of people running around repping CEO-ness, and I'm like, okay, how many people on your team? Who exactly are you casting vision towards? And people don't want to hear that they're not a CEO. And you can say whatever you want to say, but please understand, as you rise in the business community, as you rise into the upper echelons and higher places where there's business conversations, people will ask you those questions if you're claiming certain things. And so you just want to be aware. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings on Facebook. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings in this room. I just want you to be aware that the conversation is different, right? And I'm sure some of y'all know that, right? Some of y'all, I'm not giving, am I giving anybody information you don't know? I'm sure I'm not, especially not in this room. I'm not. Now, Facebook, possibly, but in this room, I don't believe that I am. I don't, if I am, let me know. If I hurt your feelings, I'm going to send you a big hug. Huggies, huggies, huggies. Huggies, huggies, huggies. Oh my gosh, I knew he would come. Huggies, huggies, huggies. I knew he would come. I knew he would come. Y'all say hi to Dane. Say hi. Your aunties are on. Hi. Mwah. Mwah. I want to get lipstick on you. Mwah. He comes for the kisses and the hugs. I love that for him. All right. So I didn't hurt anybody's feelings, so I feel good about that. All right, but there is a difference. And I didn't want to drag it out. I didn't want to say, oh, well, eventually we'll get to that. I don't know. Auntie Sherry said, Danny Dane. He looks up. Where is she? I know. I know. So that being said, I didn't want to belabor the point, because for those of you who are taking notes, this will become very important in the lab that we're doing, right? And so again, the difference between entrepreneurship and small business ownership: entrepreneurs are market led. They see the need first. You notice it said need first. It didn't say skill. It didn't say trade. It didn't say service. It didn't say what you can do. They looked at the need. They look at the market and say, I think I need to be right here. And then small business owners often say, oh, I can do this, so I'm going to open this. And so part of the reason why I wanted to talk about how to entrepreneur is because this market-led piece does have validity in a skill-led enterprise. It absolutely has validity. So everybody feeling okay? I didn't crush your soul. I didn't hurt your feelings. I don't owe you a hug. Hopefully not. All right. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to check Facebook one time, make sure nobody's crying in the corner. I don't think I did. I don't think I cried I don't think I have anybody crying in the corner. Oh, I'm not even live anymore, y'all. Crazy. Crazy. Deranged. All right. So now that we understand entrepreneurs are market-led in the beginning, right? Small business owners are often service, skill, or trade-led. Okay, now, hello. Let's talk about the unsung superpowers of entrepreneurs. The first one I want to talk about is research. If you're taking notes, feel free to take them now. Research. And ultimately, why does research matter? Well, research helps you reduce your blind spots, to sharpen your offers, to reveal actual demand, and to stop you from guessing. See, a lot of times, and even though I'm a huge proponent of it, there's this phrase I use called spaghetti wall. And I think that business owners, entrepreneurs, and small business owners do spaghetti wall. I think small business owners spaghetti wall more than entrepreneurs, because remember, they're leading with the need of the market. So they already know there's a need. They're here to fulfill the need, right? And if my good friend, John Whaley was here, he would dive even deeper into that, right? So research becomes the unsung superpower of entrepreneurship that the small business owner can leverage when you understand the value of the research. Research is going to help you understand. You'll start to understand who needs the solution. What are they struggling with? What have they tried? What are they willing to pay for? And if this sounds like brand development, you are absolutely correct. A lot of this is the work that we do in brand development. And that's why I keep telling people, you got to show up as yourself. Your verbiage needs to be you. Your visuals need to be you. Your value proposition needs to be you. But the reason why oftentimes small business owners are flopping basically at the 2 year mark per the research is because oftentimes because they're coming from a skill led place, they don't have any of this information. Can you open something? Can you be a small business owner and never do research? Well, you can. I hope you are independently wealthy and have a lot of time on your hands. Or I hope that you have decided to sell something that people cannot do without. But who are people? People is not a demographic nor a psychographic. So at some point, research has to become your unsung superpower. I hate to say has to, the coach in me is like, no, but it is to your benefit for research to become your unsung superpower. And research is not just Google. There's a such thing as geodemographic research. I remember having a client many years ago who opened up a brick and mortar, and they opened it up because it was in a location convenient to where they lived. Um, okay. See, my thing is we want to use the research to make this as effortless as possible. Not saying that you won't put effort in, but so that so that you don't end up efforting, right? And so in a minute, I'm going to introduce something called the McKenzie success hierarchy. And yes, I did throw my name on it because Maslow threw his name on his. And efforting is at the bottom of the hierarchy. Why is it at the bottom of the hierarchy? Because that's where most people start. And so in order to achieve entrepreneurial success, it requires you to ascend up the hierarchy into delegating and ultimately divesting if you choose to. But if you're efforting because you don't understand whom you're serving, if you're out here trying to help people and you're going on some study that Google put out in, 1987, you're not going to stop the flop. There will be flops along the way, even if you can still sustain. We were having a conversation recently about the AI generated flyers, lots of those floating around. And somebody, of course, always has to say, oh, I know people who are thriving with those. If they're thriving, why haven't they hired a designer? Oh, people don't care. People do care. Consumers care. Consumers are very smart these days. They're smart and dumb at the same time. I've always said consumers are ignorant, knowing I'm a consumer as well. And I'm like, yeah, that's really cute to be thriving at six figures when you should be doing 7 or 8, simply because you're not doing the research. You might be creating this flyer, but do you even understand the psychology of marketing colors that chat is throwing at you? And does that even align with your demographic? Well, you don't know. You ain't done no freaking research. You haven't kicked it with Claude. You haven't gotten down with Gemini. You haven't looked at Pew Research studies. You haven't had chat do deep research, Perplexity do deep research. The thing that I love about AI is how it allows information to be at our fingertips and we're still not using it. Still. Just 2 days ago, I had a conversation with someone. They were like, so what do you think we should do? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't looked at the data. And I understand that research is not glamorous. You can't stunt about how you found like this amazing study, on Facebook, and you can't stunt on the gram about, how you found that there's a hidden demographic that you're about to go serve. I get that part. And that's not relevant to the people in the room. It might be relevant to those who are on Facebook because we don't know who they are. If I am still live on Facebook, I mean, we'll know shortly. Facebook says I am not live. It says I was live. Yeah, it says I was live. And I went away. I'm like, it says I was live, and then I am not. So what else? Anyway, so but as I said, research is not just Google, right? There's such thing as geodemographic research. There's conversations. There's reviews. There's competitor observation. There's research on buying patterns. There's research on consumer behavior. One of the things I used to love, and some of you all have heard me talk about my radio days, we had this thing called the RAB. Oh my God. And the RAB, is the Radio Advertising Bureau, had this tool that you could put in any industry and just get amazing statistics about who buys, why they buy, when they buy, what, I mean, just complete demographic, psychographic breakdown. Oh, one of the things I hated was losing access to that thing. I don't even know if it still exists, probably does, but that's not the point. The point is that research is your unsung superhero and it's not glamorous, but it is necessary. And so many people are not using it, and they're not using it well, right? So let me stop right there and ask you, are you doing research? If you're doing research, drop an emoji. If you feel like, I need to do more research, you can say that too. You can say that too. You can absolutely say that too. Let's see if I can fix that. Do, 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 do. Well, all right. So then let's go on to the next unsung superpower, something I call resonance. And some of y'all will hear me say this a lot, especially if I'm talking to a client. I'm like, well, how does that resonate? How does that land for you? And it's like what you know, what you feel about what you know, this resonates, this lands with me. And the challenge with resonance is that it not only is it valuable, but it has a real place in the life of the small business owner. It has a real place oftentimes in the life of the entrepreneur. It does. Real place. It does, I promise. And so, unfortunately, what can happen though with resonance, especially with small business ownership, is that the common mistake becomes too little, too late, too much. So as we balance the need for research and the feelings of resonance, the mistake that happens too often is that research, okay, so there's too little. You got too little research and information. You've got the research and the information, but it doesn't resonate. And for those of you who are old enough, we saw that distinctly in the real estate boom when everybody was like, I'm flipping houses, I'm a realtor, I'm a this, I'm a, oh yeah, I'm doing real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate. Okay, there were people who are winning with real estate. And we see that anytime an industry is winning, right? People are like, whoosh. And they get in there because the research and the information says you're going to win, but it's not for you. It doesn't resonate, it doesn't land. It just doesn't. And then the common mistake of too much is that you have too much resonance, but no information to guide. I call this quarterbacking. And one of the things, one of the reasons why I detest vision boards to my soul is that I think that they really set up people to quarterback. And I always say, don't quarterback, go back. Don't quarterback, go back. What does that mean, Stephanie? That means that, you know what, this feels really good, go for it. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. And as a card carrying member of the I'm an Aquarius Club, pre MBA, I was very, 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 very guilty of, oh, this feels good, let's go. All right. Now it's like, you know what, this feels good, let me run some data. Now, sometimes you just know in your knower, right, that, okay, I got to do this. And I'm not going to discredit that. I'm not going to discount that. That's a real thing. So sometimes you just know that you know that you know, right? And if that's the case, if you're solid as a rock on it, then go for it, right? But if you have the resonance, but you are like, I still don't know what to do, 6, 7, I don't know. Then that, to me, that says that it's time to go back and sit in the same spaces that allowed you to have the ideology and the experience that resonated, to get the information that'll allow you to take your steps. And then the last thing is too late. You're too late. You're too late in the life cycle. You're too late in the business life cycle for what you're doing. And this is not talked about enough. And I truly believe that when people who launched and they launched big and everybody was like, oh my God, you're awesome. When that decline starts to happen, if they haven't prepared for that, they start to take it personally and it begins to affect their ability to trust themselves, right? It begins to kick up in their subconscious mind that maybe they don't know what they're doing. You know, oh, they're a failure. They start to take on these negative identities, and it's like, no, you just may be too late in the product life cycle for what worked at the early stage. You can't replicate that in growth stage. Or maybe you tried to do growth stage things in early stage and it fell flat. Why? Because you didn't have the brand equity, you didn't have the operations, you didn't have the understanding, you didn't have the consistency to support that at that time. And I think there's not enough conversations around the product life cycle. And so we're going to have one really quickly. All right. Before I keep going, is everybody okay? I see chat. Okay. Okay. Got it. And we're good. So how to entrepreneur? Stephanie, you brought us here. How to entrepreneur? Well, first of all, understand that entrepreneurs look at the need first. Does that mean that it's wrong that you didn't? No, I'm not saying that. I said I lured you here under the auspices of teaching you how to entrepreneur. So that's what we're going to do. So I made mention of the business life cycle. Feel free to take a photo of this if you can't see it. I know it's little. The business life cycle, we have idea, launch, early operations, growth, maturity, decline. Now, some people will say early stage, growth stage, maturity, and decline. You can see various levels of this and various iterations of this, right? And so for me, I'm not going to get really deep into the success hierarchy except to say, you've got efforting and reacting, reacting and maintaining, early operations, maintaining and delegating, growth is delegating and leveraging, maturity is leveraging and collaborating. Now, if I'd have been smart, I would have put a lovely little QR code on this side, right over here, that you could scan if you wanted to see the success hierarchy. But efforting is the key thing that we talked about. So don't worry about everything else. Efforting versus delegating and leveraging. Okay, now this is what it looks like. When you have the idea, you're at the efforting, reacting place, you're trying to make it real, moving fast, limited structure. Okay, this is what often happens to the small business owner. Okay, it's not necessarily happening to the entrepreneur because they're leading with the market, they're leading with the need, they're satiating a need. They've identified a need. The small business owner has not. The small business owner has a need to utilize their skills, their trades, and or their service or whatever, and give that to the masses. So it's very different. And so if you look through this, right? Selling, adjusting, solving problems, building consistency. So in early operations, when you first see the word delegating, right? You'll see building consistency, creating repeatable ways of working. If you have the financial resources, you can move this thing along fairly quickly. The challenge is that most small business owners are stuck right in here. Or they're here trying to decide if this is a place where you go. I don't even know if y'all can see that. Let me get a better annotator. Okay, there we go. So they're stuck right. Can I get a pen, please? Can we get orange? Thank you. So they start out and they're right in here. Again, no shade. And this is because there's limited resources, there's limited research, there's probably a lot of resonance. Okay, the entrepreneur isn't going through this necessarily because they looked at the need first. So they're already here. They're already here because they're not trying to learn and get on social and go viral and all that. They've already got a plan because they've looked at the market. The research catapults them somewhere in here. I'll say, let's say in the middle. Can y'all tell I'm having fun drawing on this? Okay, great. Let's change the color. New position, new position. So the individuals who really want to be successful learn to entrepreneur and they begin to hear. Y'all let me know if that's making sense. I'm really enjoying the colors, by the way. Y'all let me know if that's making sense. And so sometimes you have people who say, I'm going to come in on growth stage. And I'm like, and they start to say this word that I hate, and I'm going to just write it on here really messed up. That says scale. New businesses do not scale. That's a lie being told to you by business coaches who don't know what they're talking about. Because we scale, which is somewhere in between here, what works. If we're still playing spaghetti wall, if we're still trying to figure it out, if we still don't know what we can repeat, if we still don't know what's consistent, if we still don't know what delivers, if we still don't know what works, then us trying to scale is probably a bad idea. But it's the verbiage that has people in a chokehold. And I'm sure y'all have seen that word, it's everywhere. And only because I'm doing this in a very quick way, I could deep dive into so many things, so many words, so much verbiage that people are using, and it's like, yeah, but that's not exactly how that works. So in order to entrepreneur, we want to look at research. Well, what does research allow us to do? Research allows us to understand, it allows us to operate differently. Will you still have an idea? Sure. Will you still launch? Sure. Because you're going to have an idea about how to lead this market. But identifying a real need, and this is something, and I feel like I'm waterboarding you, and I'm sorry for that. I feel like something that is not discussed enough is benchmarking. I feel like it's not discussed enough, where you look at somebody that is possibly in your industry because people are so bent on saying, I don't have no competition. Yeah. Well, you do, I mean, nobody can do what you do the way you do. That's true. Yeah, you. But you do have competition. There are competitors in your industry. And one of the ways that you can begin to be market led to a certain degree, right, is to look at what the competition is doing. Look at what your competitors are doing. And ask, hey, how can I innovate that? How could I switch that up? Look at their reviews. What are people saying? Oh, it could be something as simple as, hey, it takes 2 weeks for me to get my order. Well, ding, ding, ding. There's a place for you to innovate. You do faster fulfillment, blah, 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 blah. So that's kind of the way to look at that. I want to make sure I have enough time for everybody to get into our lab part. Are there any questions about this that I can answer right now? So please drop them in the chat, because I promise I want to leave time for Q&A and for us to do our lab. So, labby, labby, labby. It says it's being sent to Facebook. Hey, Facebook people. If you're on Facebook, drop us a comment, say hello, all the things. But the last time I checked my Facebook, it said I was not live at all. So I don't know. We will figure it out later. Oh my God, I still have on my sports bra. Sorry. Hope that's okay with y'all. All right, I see no questions, no comments. All right, so let's keep going. Oh, let me not keep going with the annotations though. Ta-ta. Okay, cool. Big announcements before we get into our lab. See? Big announcement. First big announcement I want to give you is that the Win-Worthy coaching program is live. And you might be saying, okay, Ann, the reason why Win-Worthy is so important to me is because I've been having epiphany after epiphany after epiphany. And one of the epiphanies that I had is that I really stopped offering coaching apart from the fractional piece. And while this very interesting man came to mansplain to me why I did that, which was completely inaccurate, but okay, thanks. I want to make sure that it's clear that you can be supported in other areas. And so if that's something that you want to know more about, by all means, put the word win worthy in the comments, Facebook, folks, and I will make sure that you get more information. The other epiphany I had, and I want to share it with people it publicly instead of privately, is that I now understand more deeply that we are a turnkey business services organization and that we have the amazing capabilities to be a flywheel. And in that flywheel, we take founders and leaders from learning to launch and from launch to growth. And it's such a beautiful thing. And we do that by way of the COE, by way of the services I offer at stephaniedmckenzie.com. It was such an amazing epiphany. Like, it just made me sing on the inside. And why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I want to encourage you to get still and get those downloads that are truly meant to resonate with you. Okay? Truly, truly, truly. Again, resonance has a place in all of this. It can't all be pragmatic. It can't all be strategic. We've got to leave room for the energetic and the spiritual. And for those of you who are hyper energetic and spiritual, you got to leave room for the pragmatic and the strategic. Like, balance is key. Balance is key. Balancing the resonance with the research, balancing the pragmatic, the strategic, the energetic, and the spiritual, balancing, moving from efforting into reacting, maintaining, delegating, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of it requires balance. If you get too heavy in any area, that's going to show up in the imbalances within yourself, in your outcomes, and in your business. And the last thing I'm going to tell you is that, yay, the coaching deck is back. I think a lot of things are back, y'all. The reason why the coaching deck is back is because I finally had to give up the ghost and say, you know what, I lost my deck and that's fine. But you now can still get the 52Q coaching deck, and it is available. And that means that if you don't want to come to Winworthy and you don't have time to be coached one-on-one, you can absolutely get your hands on the questions that I've used over the last 15 years, coaching people through life, relationship, bereavement, even meditation, mindfulness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that being said, those are my big announcements. Let's get into our lab time. I'm going to check the chat really quickly. I think we're good on time. Let's see. Woo! Cartwheels. All right, so it's lab time. And lab time just means we're going to put all of this together. And we've got about 5 questions for tonight. And so I want you to kind of prepare yourself to share. If you want to share out loud, great. If you want to share in the chat, great. I think we have plenty of time to move through these 5 questions, right? So one of the things that I told you tonight is that How to Entrepreneur is largely based on understanding the needs of the market, right? Putting research kind of at the forefront. And responding, you're responding, you're not reacting. That happens in small business ownership. Entrepreneurs are reacting to needs. Okay. Small business owners are often offering skills and trades and services, and that's fine, even products. If you made listen, if you did anything apart from the research and you came in trying to figure it out, you are a small business owner. Does that mean you can't also be an entrepreneur? No, it doesn't mean that. It means that understanding that entrepreneurship and how to entrepreneur is a very real thing. All right. So question number 1, what do you know/feel about your buyers that goes beyond demographics? And how is your business responding to that? Remember, I said research is not just Google. It can be conversations. It can be market research. It can be competitive analysis. All of these things you can very easily do on AI. Sorry, y'all, I'm trying to move this table. Big stretch, big stretch. Do you know anything about your buyers? I'm pretty sure you do. Oops, I'm gonna move my big head out the way. Move my big head. There you go. So that way y'all can see.
Steph, are we sharing at the end or after each question?
Share. No, share after each question. Go ahead.
Okay, so for Black Moon rituals, what
Yeah.
I know and feel about my buyers that goes beyond demographics is that they are extreme consumers of spiritual content,
Okay.
and seeking, trying to put all the pieces together, but don't quite know where to start or
Mm-hmm.
feel
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed by the information. So my business is responding to that by creating an app that gives them a simple ritual to do each day that takes into consideration their astrological chart, the moon phases, um, and puts that to uses that as input to give them a simple ritual that's relevant to them and relevant to the time.
I love that. I love that. Anybody else want to share? Feel free, drop it in the chat. I really do look like a ghost on camera. Why didn't y'all tell me? I look faded out. I look a little faded out. Watch that. All right. So I guess I'll jump in on this. I think I've been working on a fair amount of like tech projects and whatnot. And so I feel like not only do am I fulfilling need, right? I'm looking at the market and saying, I wonder if there's room for that. But I also know um I'm doing the research before I'm building the apps, and I'm messing around with, vibe coders and all of that goodness, and that's cool. I'm still going to have our web and tech person try to break it, and I think that let me recommend that to anybody who's vibe coding, like get some quality control on those things. All right. So number two, where are you expecting people to buy just because you built it instead of because it clearly fits what they want or need? And be honest, because I've been there. I've been in that place where I'm like, but it's me. And I'm like, yeah, but even in that, Stephanie, you still have to communicate effectively and efficiently what something is and why somebody should value it. Like, did you put the value proposition together? Did you do all of that? Or did you just throw it out there? Because sometimes, I'm going to be honest, sometimes I'm just throwing it out there. You're in safe space. You can tell me if you just threw it out there. It's okay.
It was kind of a combo. It was something that I want and need, so I built it and I threw it out there.
I love that. And sometimes, and I don't think I gave enough credence to that. So many times I just threw it out there like, man, what? Um, I did. I just threw it out there. It's just gonna be whatever it is. But I think again, this is not to shade or shame anybody, right? This is just to say, hold on, can y'all still see the slide or no? Facebook just did something weird. Let me get my life together. Let me share it again. Yeah, I think it went to another page. Okay, let me see if I can fix it. Okay, let me see if I can fix it. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. All right. So let me make sure. Okay, perfect. Cool. So that being said, again, this is not shade or shame. This is just saying, hey, if you start to think about the market first before you do something, like what? So let me give you a prime example. I know a lot of people that are cosmetologists, and I've said this for like probably 20, 25 years now. There's this what I call natural progression in many industries, right? If you have a CDL, You know, a lot of times people say, oh, I'm going to open a trucking company. Okay. If you have a cosmetology license, a lot of times people will say, oh, I'm going to open my own salon. And I'm like, okay, but have you researched? Do some research. What market are you opening a salon for? Demographically, psychographically, geodemographically. Who are you opening for? Is cosmetology a need, or is trichology a need? What is trichology? It is the science of regrowing hair or dealing with thinning hair. Natural progression is what has a lot of small business owners struggling. When if they just took a moment, just a teeny tiny moment to get into, okay, I do this. Okay. Who might want it? Who might need it? Maybe I should go open a salon in an assisted living facility. There's a high-end one opening by my house. You know, those type of thought processes. Before you hang out a shingle, before the market tells you, hey, by the way, we can get that from over here. This is the ultimate challenge. This is why small business ownership is hard. Most small business owners are not entrepreneurs. They learn to be entrepreneurs. We learn to be entrepreneurs. That's a lie. There have been quite a few times in my early days where I was an entrepreneur. People said they wanted mums for homecoming. I made mums, baby, and made a lot of money making mums. For those of you who aren't Southern, mums are a big flower that you wear during football games on homecoming. And the ones I've seen, the largest one I ever made was like 3 flowers. Now they have them like 6 flowers, and they go all across your chest. It's insane. It's a Texas thing. I think, I don't know that other, it might be a Southern thing. I don't think they do that, you know, up in the north parts. I don't know. But anywho, there have been times when I have said, oh, okay, market. Oh, you want that? I can do that. But then there have been other times when I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to throw this out there. And sometimes when you throw it out there, it works. Again, there's no shade or shame. It's not right or wrong. It's outcomes and consequences. Part 3, question 3. Let's talk about what part of your offer is shaped by real buyer behavior and market research. What part is shaped by your own assumptions? And just be honest. You're in safe space. Just be honest.
Well, I left
So,
something out earlier that
no, go ahead.
I did do a little bit of research.
Ah,
Um, so I threw it in Chateria, that's my name for Chat GPT, and I said, here's my idea. Who are my biggest competitors and where are the gaps? So I did sort of a
yeah.
gap analysis to see how I could shape my offer. So this kind of answers 2 and 3, I think. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I shaped my offer based on the gap analysis that I did so I could fill those gaps and differentiate my business from other offerings that are out there.
I love that for you. And a gap analysis is just the same thing as, I think, the benchmarking, right? You're looking at what somebody else is doing, or you're looking at what's happening in an industry. And how long did it take you to do that?
I mean, because of the power of technology and AI, it didn't really take me very long at all. It was just
Exactly. What,
research.
five
So maybe,
minutes, 10
yeah,
minutes? See?
yeah.
Huh. So, are you telling me possibly that there may be only 10 minutes standing between you understanding and being market led and skill led, right? Service led, that could allow you to ascend up the hierarchy or to manage your operations more efficiently because you know whom you're targeting? What? Okay. About 30% is intuition, 20% assumption, the other 50 market research. And it's all valuable, right? I don't want you to leave here and say, well, Stephanie says I need to research. Yes, please research. But don't forget resonance. Resonance. If it resonates within you. Because you could do research and somebody say, like case in point, an emergent industry right now. And for those of us who love to build stuff, AI stuff, whatever, I was recently put on game that an emergent industry is elder care. A lot of people are looking for devices, technology to assist elders, to find services for elders. I think I don't know if you guys have ever seen, there was something a long time ago called A Place for Mom, and I think it was a website where you could find different facilities, et cetera, et cetera. And did I rush out and do elder care stuff? No, I did not. Am I telling y'all to do elder care stuff? No, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying, as you said, it's really quickly the beauty of AI and not having to go to LexisNexis and not having to go to a library and put in a URL that's 8 billion characters long anymore is that we have the information. We have the information. Chat's not even making up data anymore. You can tell it to only use verifiable sources, or you can use deep research function. I think Claude's a better researcher, though. I'm just going to be honest. I think Claude's better at logic, et cetera, but that's just me. But I mean, 10 minutes could be the difference between you staying stuck in the early stage and getting into what I call the founder flounder versus you launching, not floundering, being super clear, having assets, having messaging, having positioning that allows you to win from day one. Okay, day 5. I think it's worth it. Listen. Wow, LexisNexis. I haven't heard that I know. I'm sure they're probably buried into chat as well. I'm sure they have their own GPT, because I think they still exist. Okay. Had to make sure we hadn't put anything crazy in our mouth because, we do that. Don't we? Don't we, precious? Stay here. All right. So again, I don't want you to leave here thinking, oh my God, she wants us to be robots. No, I don't. But I want you to have information that form data-driven decisions. I have a mini class. I should have given that to y'all as your free gift. If you want it, let me know. I have a mini class on data-driven leadership, I think, that kind of talks about that. I think it's like a 6-minute class or something. If you want it, let me know. Drop me a message, Slack me, something, mail me, whatever. Yeah. Okay. No, I haven't. Can you guys still hear me? Check, 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 check. If you can. Emojis in the chat.
I hear
Okay,
you.
great. Okay, you hear me. Okay. I'm getting messages that my microphone has gone away. I'm like, don't go away. And then let's see. 4, how are you making it easy? The only time when you need to be a pygmisha is that how are you making it easy for the right people to trust, pick, and pay you? Because that's a part of understanding your market as well. Some people are not going to do, if you're serving in particular demographics, they may like something in particular. They may like pricing to be a particular way. They may like, and so understanding that. Are you making it easy? Well, I feel like everybody here is making it easy. I don't know about the Facebook people that I may or may not be speaking to right now, but we make it easy because there's platforms, right? But especially if you're vibe coding, et cetera, make sure all those integrations work. I think that's going to be the bane of my existence, but we shall see. Recently, even prior to the vibe coding, I built well, actually, I had a custom GPT built that's probably going to end up becoming a mobile website or whatever. It may not an app per se. And I'm actually not building apps. I'm actually building mobile websites, but I digress. One of the challenges we were having is how to put it behind a paywall and how to make it easy for people to navigate that. And so a lot of times, unbeknownst to us on the user side, sometimes we just need to go through our own process. I'm here. Thank you. Thank you for my lip gloss, baby. You're so sweet. Y'all, he picked that up for me. He was about to leave the room. But I'm smarter than you. I'm smarter than you. So that being said, I would come in, he'd have probably the glossiest lips ever. Dang, why your lips so glossy? So sometimes we need to like log out and go through our own processes to see how easy it is and to see, are there any glitches in the matrix? Come on. Are there any glitches in the matrix that would make people say, "Oh, I'm not going to pay this person. I'm not going to do this." You know, checkout page is looking crazy. I'm not going to pay this person. I'm not going to do all of that.
Hey,
So
Steph,
sometimes be the buyer. Yeah.
so in terms of making it easier, um, one thing that I did with the two AIs that I'm using, so I use one to help me create the prompts to prompt the builder to build what I need. But the other cool thing is I can ask it for QA prompts using sort of like an agile strategy, creating personas, user stories, and a whole QA um, process checklist of sorts to say, okay, I need to validate these customer journeys. And I've done a lot of the QA myself, creating test accounts, blah, 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 going through the processes, which had helped me catch a lot of things. But another cool thing is that you can actually have have it write you a prompt to make the builder do the QA for you. And all you have to do
Yep.
is give it the credentials. And then
Yep.
it can log in, log out, check the screens and all that. It's pretty neat.
Yep. I love that. I love that. So I'm like, whoo. I don't know who said vibe coding was easy. That stuff is hard. Mito, lovable, all of it. It still requires you to have some command of what needs to happen. AI is a tool, and I think I'm preaching to the choir in here, but AI is a tool, and using it, you can use it so efficiently and effectively to get things done, right? So efficiently and effectively. And I want to encourage you to do that. Like stress your AI out. Like it should be stressed out in behind you. Okay. It doesn't really have feelings and it really doesn't matter, but you know what I'm saying. Like lean on it, make it do its thing, right? Now, number five, if your buyers were brutally honest, what would they say is missing, unclear, or not compelling enough yet? Um, as the person who just had the epiphany that they're a business, as that they are a flywheel. I don't know that that anything is missing or unclear. I do know some months ago that a lot of things were unclear, and I have to give public props to Amanda for helping me get that clear from the side of a user. And I think as business owners and entrepreneurs, we sometimes speak from the inside out, and we need to really make sure we're speaking from the outside in. And what I mean by that is from the buyer in versus from the seller out. Because when we do that, that means we're operating from what the market is saying that it wants, and we are positioning ourselves to fill a need. Fill a need, fill a need, or create a new need. I think that's the advanced lessons. I always say that's the Febreze lesson because nobody thought that they needed a spray bottle to spray on their couches and curtains until Febreze told you, "Hey, we got this thing and you can buy it and it'll do this." I don't think any of us were sitting around wanting that. So you can make your own market. And I think that's really cool. Does it cost a pretty penny? Absolutely. Contingent upon what you're selling. But let me open it up. If your buyers were brutally honest, what would they say is missing, unclear, or not compelling enough yet, if anything? They might not say that at all.
I honestly, I think it's too early for me to say that, but what I will, it's too early for me to answer that question directly, but what I will say is that I've made sure that I built into the platform ways that buyers can easily provide me that feedback. And I think it's important to
Mm,
always ask your customers for feedback. And whether it's positive or negative, it's a gift to you to have that information that helps you improve.
Yes.
So I hope to say that I will have that feedback in short order.
Yes. And you take it like a champ, and I appreciate that so much. And you give it like a champ as well. Um, Anybody else? I could also say, I think what's unclear is what they actually need and what we actually have for them, which is why I had to kind of simplify some things. Oh, yay! I'm so glad. This is so valuable. I'm so glad. Yes, indeed. It's an extension of your expertise. Yes. I just recently sent out a poll asking my clients what kind of content they prefer to receive. Yes. And you know what? That brings me into a conversation that I kind of started on my YouTube live stream around um leadership, and how if you can't take correction, if you can only handle kudos and not correction, you probably need to get out the kitchen. Like there's no other way for me to say it, because as somebody who has been hard triggered by correction in my life, I understand that correction is part of the gig, even if I don't like it, you know. But some of y'all know I was knee deep in that nonprofit, and you had people that were willing to, retaliate and do all kinds of things just because somebody in the room knew more than you. I'm like, surprise, surprise. There's always going to be somebody in the room that knows more or differently than you do. Okay. Like, it's not an indictment on who I am if somebody knows more. Well, yay me that I have access to someone with that wisdom and they're willing to share. Woo-hoo! Yes, I love that. Since I started targeting different demographics, like you've changed. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think what I want to add to that in how to entrepreneur is don't be afraid to shift. I hate the word pivot, y'all. I hate that word with my whole entire being, with my whole soul, my whole chest, my third eye open and everything. I hate that word because everybody's using it. I'm like, yeah, find another word. I don't know which word I hate more, scale or pivot. But nevertheless, I think there's a level of courage and bravery that that has to come, and y'all know I'm really careful about saying that has to come in for those who are founding and leading and all of these things, taking on these roles with the work that they do in the world. There's a level of courage that not only allows you to found it, but also to understand when it's failing, to see that it's failing and not ascribe its failure as your identity. I think there's a lot of bravery and courage in that is not discussed enough. And I think that's why we have a lot of small business owners who don't know how to entrepreneur, because in order to entrepreneur, you may have to look at something that you've built and say, okay, that sucked. What's next? You may have to look at that, and being strong enough in your own identity to say, man, I knew I could have done that better. Yeah, I didn't do that well. Because that's how you get the opportunity to do it better. If you want a white knuckle mediocrity, this ain't for you. If you want a white knuckle always being right, this ain't for you. Honestly. And I think those of you who are here, you absolutely agree and understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. Whew. So I hope you got some good notes. Any questions, comments? We got about 16 minutes. We did awesome on time. So any questions? Love to share this free gift for you coming. My big head isn't in the way. So feel free to scan that and grab a free gift for coming out. If you already have it, share it with somebody else. Share it with somebody you love or like or no. Let's see, I'll check the chat. I know some people are chatting. Let's see, I think I got everything. Questions, comments, concerns? So now you know the difference. Did you already know that there was a difference? I didn't know. I guess, and I won't say I didn't know. I hadn't thought about it as being different until it was brought to my attention. And then I was like, yep, that tracks. That totally tracks.
The difference between entrepreneurship and business ownership, you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
Did you
agree with
already
what
know?
I did. But I think that in my mind, I think your framing was a little bit different. To me, it's about innovation. So, um, in business ownership, to me, like if you own a franchise, you could be a business owner. If you just, open a salon or something like that. But I think entrepreneurship takes a level of innovation and doing something different.
I like that. And I feel like a lot of times those are market-led decisions. There's a guy, oh God, I can't remember his name. Oh, Francois. If I find it, I will let y'all know. There's a book that basically talked about how innovation is when we create things at the intersection of something and something else. At Johann, mm, I cannot remember, but anyway, black guy from Belgium, Germany, whatever. And he wrote this book, and we dug into it. And he even came to speak at the college when I was an innovation fellow. And he was talking about how when we intersect two things that are established, that's where innovation happens. And I think a lot of times that happens based on what you're saying, right? A lot of times that is from people looking at a need and saying, you know what, this is needed. And what if we took this and put it together and built it? And I'm like, I like what you said about that. So thank you so much for chiming in. And like I said, if you didn't know and this doesn't resonate or land for you, feel free, eat the meat and spit out the bones. I'm fine with it. But I at least wanted to give you a snapshot of an understanding of a way that could be beneficial to you and tools that could be beneficial to you. So, in conclusion, woo, small business ownership, and that's the QR code as well. Small business ownership starts with a skill, usually. Entrepreneurship starts with a need. And the more clearly we understand the market, the better we can build, position, and grow what we are creating. And so we need the person that has the courage to say, I do this and I want to offer this to the market. But we also need that same person to have a mindset that allows them to say, okay, and I want to do this here because I know that these people don't have this, or I know these people have this, or there's a gap going back to Amanda's share. I see very clearly because I've done some homework and research that there's a gap in the market that I can fill. And I think that will allow us to be more successful. I think we will see more people winning if we start to ask questions about what we're doing and how we can succeed. I think there's too much rhetoric around small business ownership that's hopes and prayers and all of that. And yeah, you're gonna pray or get your positive vibes on or meditate. You're gonna do all of that, right? But there's nothing wrong with looking at a situation and using the data that allows you to do better than the last person. Ain't nothing wrong with winning, y'all. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. See, I would have cued my music and it would have been awesome. So, nevertheless, guys, that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for coming. If I can serve and support you in any way, I'm happy to do so. My name is Stephanie D. McKenzie. I am a fractional brand and marketing leader, as well as a foundership and entrepreneurship educator and a multi-certified coach. And I have had the privilege of serving you all tonight, and I hope you found this meaningful. And thank you so much for being here. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And Facebook people, if you're seeing this, thank you too. All right, guys, have a beautiful night and enjoy 10 minutes back on your evening.